I wasn't the only one on that road. Survivor's account. I've never liked driving at night, but that night I had no choice. My mother was in the hospital and I had to make the trip back alone. It was almost 3:30 a.m. when I entered the most isolated stretch of the highway. About 18 kilometers with no gas stations, houses or any human light. Just wet asphalt and a fog that seemed to appear out of nowhere. I remember thinking the road was too quiet. No birds, no crickets, no trucks, nothing. At some point, I turned off the radio just to hear the engine, and even the engine sounded strange, muffled, as if the sound couldn't spread. Then I noticed something ahead. At first, I thought it was just a trash bag at the edge of the shoulder. But as I got closer, I realized the figure was too tall, standing still, facing me. My body reacted before my mind did. My hands sweated, my chest tightened. Not because I knew what it was, but because, for some reason, I felt it had been watching me long before I saw it. When my headlights hit it fully, I slowed down without meaning to. It didn't look like someone asking for help. It was a person, yes. But something about the way it stood, the strange angle of its shoulders, the total stiffness, made me let out a sound without realizing it. It had no expression, but it was also missing something essential. I couldn't see its eyes. Not that they were closed or in shadow. They were absent. Two deep, dark cavities, so black even the headlights seemed unable to reach them. I swerved to avoid passing too close. I should have sped up, but for some reason, I slowed down. Curiosity? Shock? I don't know. I only know that as I crossed the exact spot where it had been, something inside me snapped. Instinct, memory, and fear all screaming at once. My rearview mirror shook. I looked automatically. It wasn't there anymore. I slammed on the brakes out of sheer panic. I stayed in the middle of the road, too afraid to look again. My breathing began to fail, and I felt a sense of presence, like someone silently appearing at the door of a dark room. I waited several seconds to muster the courage. I blinked, slowly turned the mirror by hand. Nothing behind me, just road. But something was wrong with the glass. Moisture? Fog? No. From inside the car, on the rear window, there were two dark circles, perfectly round, at exactly the height where eyes would be if someone pressed their face against the glass. I hadn't heard anything. No footsteps, no touch, no wind. I gripped the steering wheel tightly and decided to get out of there. But when I pressed the accelerator, I noticed out of the corner of my eye something moving along the side of the road, keeping pace with my car in the darkness, as if it had chosen me. I tried to convince myself it was my imagination, that nothing had followed me, that I was just panicking on an empty road at 3:30 a.m. But deep down, I already knew I wasn't alone. I pushed the accelerator harder. The engine roared, the car vibrated. Yet, the shape running beside the road kept up with me. I couldn't see it clearly because it stayed just outside the beam of the headlights. But every few seconds, I caught a glimpse. A long silhouette. Arms too low, head tilted toward my car, and those empty eye sockets reflecting nothing. Absolutely nothing. My heart hammered so violently, I felt it in my teeth. I kept driving, faster and faster, trying not to look again. But I could feel it watching me from the darkness. Not chasing, not attacking, observing, studying me. After a few minutes that felt like hours, I saw a sign. Gas station, 7 kilometers. If I could just make it there, if I could reach people, light, noise, anything.
I stepped on the pedal with everything I had. For a moment, the shape on the side of the road faded into the fog. I thought maybe I'd lost it. Maybe it had given up. That's when something tapped my rear bumper. A single dry, metallic tick. I froze. No animal could keep up with a car at that speed. No person could run that fast. Yet something had touched my car like it was right behind me. I didn't dare look in the mirror. I stared straight ahead, repeating out loud like a prayer, "Don't look, don't look, don't look." But the tapping continued. First a tap, then two. Then a dragging sound, like fingers sliding across metal. My eyes filled with tears. I gripped the wheel so tightly, my knuckles went numb. I was shaking so badly, the car wobbled on the lane. Finally, the gas station lights appeared at the end of the road. I swerved violently into the parking lot and stopped right next to the entrance door. The attendants inside looked confused, maybe even scared by the way I jumped out of the car. I was drenched in sweat, pale, half hyperventilating. One of them came outside. "Are you okay?" he asked. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to say it was nothing. But when I turned to look at my car, every word died in my throat. On the dusty rear window, under the station's bright lights, there were fresh handprints. Not human-sized, larger. The fingers were long, too thin, and the palms seemed stretched, distorted, as if they didn't belong to a normal bone structure. One print, two prints, three, all trailing downward, as if something had climbed onto the trunk and slid off only moments before I stopped. The attendants looked at the prints and exchanged a strange, uneasy look. A look I didn't understand at the time. "Where exactly did you come from?" one of them asked. When I told them the stretch of road, they went silent. One of them swallowed hard. The other glanced at the dark highway and muttered, "It's been happening again." The two attendants didn't argue, didn't doubt me, didn't laugh. That scared me more than anything. People always laugh when someone says, "I saw something." People always try to rationalize, calm you down. But these two just stared at each other with that look, that "not again" look. The taller attendant, Joao, according to his badge, nodded for me to follow him inside. He locked the glass door behind us, even though it was 24-hour service. The other guy, menor e mais nervoso, ficou olhando para a estrada como quem espera que algo volte. I sat down at a small table near the coffee machine. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Joao brought me a bottle of water and said, "You're not the first. Every few months, someone comes in like this." I didn't want to hear more. I didn't want confirmation. But Joao kept talking, slowly, like someone repeating a story that weighs on the chest. That stretch of road. Before it was highway, it was a dirt path that connected two farms. One of the farmers disappeared out there. No one found the body. The police said he probably got lost or attacked by animals. But the people around here, the older ones, they say something else. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. They say he never left the road. They say he walks it still, looking for the wife who abandoned him. They say he lost his eyes in the accident, or that something else took them. My blood froze. I tried to speak, but nothing came out. Images flashed in my mind. The shape on the road, the hollow sockets, the speed at which it ran, the tapping on my car.
But that's just stories, right? I asked, desperate for reassurance. Joam didn't answer. Instead, he pointed at the security cameras behind the counter. 2 months ago, a trucker slept inside his cabin right where you parked, 4:17 a.m. This thing, whatever it is, walked past the pumps. Slowly, it stopped right behind his truck, those same long hands on the back window. I felt nausea crawling up my throat. What happened to him? I whispered. Joam looked down, avoiding my eyes. He's not the same, doesn't talk anymore, sits and stares, like he's listening to something no one else hears. I stood up so fast, the chair scraped the floor. I didn't want more details. I wanted my mother. I wanted daylight. I wanted this night to disappear from my memory. One of the attendants insisted on checking my car before I left. He walked around it, shining a flashlight. Then he called me over with a trembling voice. On the roof of the car, 3 deep scratches, parallel, long, carved into the paint as if something had dug its fingers into the metal while keeping balance. They weren't old marks. They were fresh. Even worse, dust had collected along the edges of the scratches, meaning whatever left them had been up there for a while. Maybe from the moment the thing touched my bumper. Maybe from the moment I passed it on the road. Maybe even before I saw it. I drove away only after sunrise, and only because the attendants insisted on escorting me for the first kilometers. I never took that road again. I never drive at night anymore. And sometimes, late at night, when I'm trying to sleep, I swear I still hear that sound, that tap, then the dragging of fingers against metal, like something gently reminding me, I haven't forgotten you.